proposed by the African Academy of Sciences. And let's get a judgment based on that.
Some questions that people are asking now is, if you do get coronavirus, obviously the advice that you have been given is to self-quarantine, look after yourself, and, just keep yourself away because you are highly infectious to those around you. Is there anything you're recommending that people can take? This is obviously for people that are not in need of going to hospital and having, very hectic treatment with regard to coronavirus. But people that do have it, obviously antibiotics are not going to work. What can you do to help yourself in this position?
So I think the main thing to do is to treat the symptoms. And in fact, when you go to hospital, that's pretty much what they do, is they treat the symptoms and they give you what is called supportive treatment. And the main support
that is the thing that you need to do, stay at home and do things, and then
we
use a mask.
Patients with this disease
we are
have some difficulty in getting enough
here
oxygen
so that
from the
people
air in their
can
lungs
use.
into their blood.
Yeah.
So when that
right.
happens, you need some support that's of a medical nature. So if you have shortness of breath and you're having difficulty breathing, then a hospital visit is required. But until then, if you are experiencing the other symptoms of an acute respiratory illness,
and you just cure it.
Things like
and there is something happen,
fever,
maybe
cough, sore throat.
cough.
You can just manage those with symptomatic treatment. Take
them
some
at home.
take some antipyretics, the fever. So I think if you take that kind of approach, that's
You'll be
probably
fine.
all that's required.
Yeah,
But
that's
it's
the thing
always
that's
in the
probably
context
required.
that if somebody has a positive test for COVID, that they must isolate themselves, because what's important is that they don't want to pass it on to somebody else who is at high risk, particularly older people or people with several diseases that put them at higher risk of COVID.
Yeah. We were talking a lot about reinfection, and there was a school of thought, and this, when I emphasize was a school of thought, that if you get coronavirus, chances are you'll move on and you won't get it again. Is this still the school of thought? I mean, is that where we're at, or getting reinfected, is that something that poses another risk to South Africans in the world?
Well, that's a very good question, and it's certainly a question that all of us would like an answer to. So let me share with you the evidence that's currently available and sort of do the best that I can to share with you what we know at the moment. So what we do know, because remember, we've only known about this virus for about 4 to 5 months. Yeah. So what we do know is that when a person gets this coronavirus infection, the vast majority will develop antibodies. And we know this from other viruses like measles and so on. And when you develop antibodies, generally it protects you. So you get measles once, you don't get it again. Or if you get the measles vaccine, you don't get measles. So it looks like in the coronavirus that when you've been infected, you develop antibodies, and there are a small proportion that don't. And it may be that they do, but we just can't detect them. But in a small proportion, we can't find antibodies. But in the vast majority, they develop antibodies. We don't yet know if those antibodies protect you from getting infected again. And we don't know for how long. If it does protect you, we don't know for how long. Because, as I said, we've only known about this virus for about 4 to 5 months. But what looks like the early evidence is becoming available suggests that if you have COVID, the disease, once, you don't get the disease again. So in other words, even if you were able to get infected again, you don't get the clinical illness a second time. But that's very early evidence, and we have to wait for time to pass to see now, 6 months later, are people who had disease, are they still not getting another disease of COVID again. So we can't answer that question definitively, but it certainly at this point is suggestive that the antibodies that people generate might have some benefit, largely in preventing clinical illness.
Fascinating. So we're going to have to wait on that. But another issue, something